Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So look at me, I'm in neutrals. I have neutrals on. Look, nude, all nude. Except my inner corner is a duochrome topper. But I'm basically in a nude kind of neutral tone, and my skin looks super bronzy and glowy, and bronzy for me anyway. Yeah, and I feel so pretty right now. So I am gonna be doing 3 looks, 1 palette using my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. I've had this palette for about 2 years now, I think. I have loved this palette and well used this palette. Upside down, sorry. Well used this palette, and this is actually a palette that I have brought exclusively on holidays with me, and just kind of brought 1 or 2 like pigments with me just to kind of add to it and give me something else to kind of add to the palette. But I have exclusively brought this on holidays and no other eyeshadows, and it's done me more than well. So in this video we're going to be doing 3 very different looks. This is kind of a nude, neutral, cool toned I kind of want to go in with, because it is the majority warm, but I want to kind of show off there is a cool tones in this palette, and I want to show them off because I love me some cool tones. But you've just got a nice mix of colours and neutrals. There's a pressed glitter, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I am going to use it in these 3 looks just so you can see it. But yeah, it's a nice mix of colours if you're not used to colour, if that makes sense. I lipstick all over my teeth. But yeah, it just gives a really nice variety, or enough of a variety anyway, for someone like me who loves changing their makeup every day, never wears the same makeup every day, ever really, never uses the same palette every day even. And for me to bring this on holidays with me and use it for like 10 days straight every evening when I was going out. Now bear in mind my skin probably looked similar to this, where it was like very sheer and natural and just super glowy, and my brows probably weren't even as done as, and there was no lashes on my face. But just doing like a nice kind of look with this smoky eye, I could do a bit of colour, I could do just a bronzy kind of eye, very neutral kind of eye. I had it all there with me. So I love this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some swatches. I'm going to work that way, and I'm going to go on my arm just to go through the colours so you can see them. I might not swatch the very first shade because it's this kind of the same colour as my skin, and it's just a matte nude. You'll see it in action because I use it as my brow bone highlight. And the pressed glitter, they never swatch well. So they're better with like a base down. I don't want to put a base on my arm. So I might not do those 2, but the rest I'm going to do. So the first shade that we're going to go in with is Musk. This is a matte neutral brown. It's not the coolest of browns, but it's definitely on the cooler side. It looks like this, and that's what I used in my crease for this. It can definitely be warmed up if you wanted to. You know, you could add kind of peachier tones to it and warm it up a little bit, but it's just a nice neutral. You know, for me, that's like the perfect brown in a palette like this for me, so everything's not too orange on my face. And then the next shade is like its counterpart. This is Eden. This is a matte peach, so it's great for kind of doing the opposite and doing more of a warm toned look, but still having that softer colour to blend. What I will say about some of the mattes in this palette is they're a bit gritty, if that makes sense, and I don't really know why. They still go on beautifully and they perform really well, minus 1 or 2 that I'll kind of talk about as I swatch them, but they kind of feel gritty as you're swatching them with your finger. It's very weird. Never really experienced that with a lot of matte shadows anyway. But yeah, weird. The next shade we're going to go into is Amber, which is just like a burnt orange, and it's fabulous. This is actually a colour, surprisingly, that I use a lot in this palette. So he is gorgeous, really nice and warm. And I'll just do it again. You can keep building if you wanted to and really get that nice and dark. The next shade is Blood Moon, and this is the first shimmer, and this is a gorgeous copper shimmer. Like true copper. The shimmers in this palette are phenomenal. Some are topper, so they're not like super base pigment like this. But they do perform really well. Like I have one on right now and it's really nice, so yeah. And then the last shade for this row is going to be Ode or Oud. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. It's just the darkest brown, and it's such a good dark brown for this palette because it can lean on the warm side, it can lean on the cool side. I used it a little bit today with the cooler tones, and it can lean purple if you want it to, because there is purples in this palette. But just a gorgeous matte chocolatey brown. And you can just build and build and build until you're happy with how the colour looks. We'll do another one just to see how dark it'll go. It does go dark enough though. As dark as I feel like you need for this palette anyway. Next shade is another shimmer, and this is kind of a topper shade. Like, it's a lovely shade, but I have used it. Well, actually, no, it's kind of hard to describe. It kind of is a topper, but kind of not a topper. It does have a nice bit of base pigment to it. It's a lovely duochrome though. It's kind of like a golden base with a pink reflect through it, and it just gives that really nice shine off the face. And that was Celestial, sorry, I forgot to mention that. The next one is Nefertiti. I think that's how you pronounce that. I've heard other people pronounce that, but I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. And this is just like a nice gold. It looks kind of similar to the Celestial, but without the pink flash to it, and it's a little bit peachier of a gold as well. There's a bit more warmth in it, but it doesn't have that pink flash running through it. Next up is one of the topper shades, and this is Twilight. And this one is like a pink with a violet like reflect to it. So again, the base pigment's not going to be the strongest. This is definitely something you would use as your topper. I was between that one and the one I actually used, which is Retrograde, as my inner corner highlight, but it's just a really nice colour, and there is enough pigment there. Like, it is something you could use without putting on top of something, but I would definitely use a glitter glue or wet your brush or press it on with your finger. Okay, and then the next shade is probably my least favourite shade in the palette. This is Amethyst, and it's the purple, like it's the brightest looking purple in the palette. It just doesn't perform the way I want it to. And it always gets hard pan, always, and it's so gritty, but it always gets hard pan. I just never feel like I'm actually getting pigment off it. It's the absolute dud. Like, it's one of the worst shades that I've used in a long time out of a lot of palettes. Where is it? Where is it? Where did it go? It's not there. Like, look at the colour of that, and then look at the colour that went onto my arm. It's non-existent. And even with building, I'm going in, and I have previously got rid of the hard pan off my shadow. That literally, it does nothing. It literally does nothing. Compared to the mattes here, like, that's not good. You know what I mean? So that's my least favourite shade, and I'm pretty sure I put that in my least favourite shades in all my palettes video for this palette. So yeah, you probably already knew that. The next shade we're going to use is Royal, which is a beautiful purple, and it's a shimmer. Kind of has a similar texture to Blood Moon, I would say. There's like 4 or 5 in here that have the same kind of foiled metallic texture. Oh, look at that. I mean, look at that compared to that. I know it's a different texture. My God. My God, look at that. Like, you're supposed to kind of be able to use the purples together. You know what I mean? I think that's the idea. I can't use that. I can't use that with that. I'd be building up for the rest of my life. And then the last shade for that row is Retrograde, and this is the one that I have on my inner corner here. This is also a topper shade. So again, you might want a glitter glue, which I did use. So it doesn't really have much base pigment, but the base that is there is kind of like it's kind of like a reddish kind of tone, and then it's got this like teal blue reflect off it. It's kind of hard to see if I don't like move it, so I'm gonna just move it around. I don't even know if you can see it. You'll see it in the video. It looks really pretty on my face though. And then for the last row, we've got Celestial. This is a shimmery taupe, and it is gorgeous. This is what I have on my lid, and I have no glitter primer under this. So yeah, the shimmers in this palette are really nice, and they do work well without a glitter glue. That's the shimmers, not the toppers. But yeah, that's how that looks, and it's just a really nice, as I said in later on in the video, you'll hear me say again, I'm a sucker for a shimmery taupe. I know I don't use it very often, but in my daily life, if I'm to gravitate towards a neutral, it's a shimmery taupe. I love a shimmery taupe. It's so nice. And then next up we've got Angelic, which is like a pink with a gold shimmer off it, and it's very pretty. And it's really nice with, like, say, those kind of peachier kind of tones, like Eden. Even if you just did Eden and maybe like a little bit of amber, just like a small bit, you'd have a really nice like neutral kind of peachy look, and it's still pigmented. It's beautiful. Next up then is Cosmo, and I'm not going to swatch it, but it is a really nice like burgundy, brown, gold, purple. It's actually kind of like all the colours in this palette mixed into a glitter. So you've got like the orange, you've got like the brown, the red, the purple. It's all kind of there in the glitter, and you will see it in one of the looks. Next up then is another shimmery foil shade. This is Turkish Delight, and I'm pretty sure I said that this was my favourite colour in the palette in my video where I said my favourite shadows in each of my palettes. Pretty sure this was the one. It was either this one or Royal, but I'm pretty sure it was this one because look. Oh, it's just so nice. Goes on so smooth. I love it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using this in one of the looks as well. And then next up is the second last one. This is Saffron. And this is a gorgeous like red, kind of a leaning into burgundy but not quite there. Again, you'll also see this. You will see a lot of these colours. There is one or two that I don't use because I can't use 18 shades. But you might see them in a palette bingo that I do. But this is just a really nice colour to go with that Turkish Delight shade, or to go with the pressed glitter, or to go with the kind of shimmery copper, or to go with those golden shades even. It's a gorgeous matte red that leans a little bit burgundy, but it's still a red. It's not quite burgundy. And then the last shade in the palette is Blazing, which is this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous orange. Oh, this is like I don't know, some sort of spice. Some sort of spice is this colour, I'm pretty sure. Look at it. Look at it. It's a matte. And it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous and gorgeous and gorgeous. And you will also see that one in one of the looks. And it's just a really good mix of colours. I wish that purple was better. Way better. I know purple is hard to make. I get that. But not that freaking hard. Like, I have Huda palettes with purples in them and they're beautiful. Like the little ones. I have the retrograde palette. The Mercury retrograde palette. I have that palette. I did buy that palette. I know I haven't talked about that palette yet, but I have it and I will. And the purples in that are beautiful. Why? What happened? I know this came out beforehand, but still. Alrighty, so that is all of the swatches. All 18, well actually no, 16 shades that I wanted to swatch. I didn't do the glitter and I didn't do the nude because you wouldn't have seen it anyway. It made no difference. But yeah. I love this palette. This is one of my favourite palettes. I know I actually say this about like a lot of my palettes, but again, I only buy palettes that I kind of know I'm going to like, if that makes sense. I'm not going to buy a palette that I know I'm not going to like. I didn't buy the Huda Nude palette because I was thinking about it and then I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm actually going to use that. But then the Mercury Retrograde palette came out and I was like, I see them shimmers, I see them sparklies, and I see that blue and purple. Yeah, so I got that. And same with this one, I was like, this is actually a neutral palette that I would actually use. And this was my first Huda palette ever. Even before the small ones, I've had this years. Well, 2 years. But I love it, and it's a testament that this came on holidays with me and did me very well. And it was the only palette that I had with me. So yeah, if you want to see this neutral cool tone look, keep on watching, and also check out the other 2 looks that's coming up. Okay, so let's get into look number 1 using our Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. So I'm thinking kind of simple today, and I actually already have like my skin pretty much done except for blush and highlight because I'm going to do that afterwards. But I've got like bronzer and everything on because the look I want to do is kind of simple enough, and I've also got my brows on. I'm kind of just feeling this kind of cooler toned brown, some cashmere, which is the kind of taupey shimmer. And then maybe a little bit of retrograde, just to add a bit of interest on the inner corner. I don't know. We'll kind of see how the colours go. It might look a bit weird, but sure, look, what doesn't look weird in this channel? Yeah, and quite like nude to a point. Apart from that, like inner corner bit, but like everything else to be quite nude, and you could just do it nude if you wanted to. Because the other ones are going to be quite bright and quite warm, so I want to kind of keep it on the cooler side if I can. If you hear some banging during this video, my neighbour is hammering something or drilling something, or I don't know. Something's happening in that house, so yeah. I am going to start with my MAC 217 brush, and we're going to go into the shade Musk, which is that cooler brown. Because I do love my cool tones, probably more so than my warm tones. Especially with like browns and stuff like that, I tend to veer on the cooler side. So this is just going to go into the crease. And this is like going to be quite a neutral look for me anyway. But I do love this palette, and this shade gets the most use out of this palette, I would say, because I brought this away on holidays with me and loved it. Just going to kind of wing it out a little bit. Just to shape the eye the way I want to. And I'm taking a little bit more of that just on the tip of the brush, and we're just going to run that along the outer half of the lower lash line. And I want this to be nice and blown out, so that's why I'm using this brush. Okay, so this could be as dark as the look actually is. I may add the darker brown in just to deepen it up a little bit, but that's not in my plan right now. I'm just going to see how it goes. So next we're going to go into a bit of shimmer, and I'm just going to take the shade Cashmere. And I'm not going to use a glitter glue because this is super foiled and metallic, and it'll go on kind of the same anyway. But for the inner corner part, I am going to use the glitter glue because I want that to really stick. But this is just going to go on the lid, just where we didn't apply any colour. Then just taking my 217 brush, and we're just going to kind of tap over where they meet, just out here. Oh, if there's one thing I love in life, it's a weakness of mine, it's a shimmery taupe. Always love it. Don't use it that often, but my god, do I love it. I gravitate towards them so much. Taking a small little bit of that same cashmere shade just on the very tip of the brush, and we're just going to run that on the center of the lower lash line. Okay, so just to kind of help with the edges and everything, make it look super smooth, and also because it's in the palette, I'm going to take the shade Desert Sand, which is like this nude shade. Normally this is a slight bit light or a bit dark for me. I'm a bit too pale for this, but with my skin tone, the colour that it is right now, which is like, it's still pale, I'm still kind of an NC10, but I'm wearing an N1 face and body, which is actually a little bit warm for me, but I can kind of pull it off, and I've got bronzer on, so I think this should be fine. I'm just kind of using that just on my brow bone, but then also bring in just like a little bit just around the edges, just to really make sure it's nice and soft. I mean, if you don't want it to be weird, you can just leave it like that, and that would be kind of it. Throw a bit of liner on if you want to. I don't know whether I'm going to do a big wing liner or not. I'll see how it looks once I put the inner corner on. Okay, so then for the inner corner, I do want it to stand out quite a bit, so I am going to use the Too Faced Glitter Insurance. I'm just going to take a small bit of that. And I'm just taking it on my baby finger just so I have a bit more control over it. We're just going to plop that on the inner corner. Plop is not a nice word, Carla. Don't use that word. And then while it's nice and sticky, we're going to go into Retrograde, which is this nice kind of plum and teal duochrome. It's like a topper shade, so that's why I'm kind of using it on the inner corner. Ooh, it's weird. I like it though. I decided that I am actually going to deepen just the outer corner, the very, very outer corner, just a small little bit, and I'm going to take Ode, I think that's how you pronounce it, on a MAC 221 brush, just like a dab. I don't want to like warm it up too much or change the colour too much. I just want to deepen that little outer pocket there. So I'm going to jump off, I'm going to do my liner, lashes, finish the cheeks, do a lip of some sort, and I'll be back in a sec. Okay guys, this is the finished look, and I'm actually in love with this look. I feel like a bad bitch. Oh my god. Like, I am a little bit on the tan side. For me anyway, this is my tan side. But I still kind of match, but I'm a bit more glowy. I've got a bit of a grunge in the inner corner, but it's still a neutral enough eye. I've got nice fluffy big lashes. That this one's curving the wrong angle. I've got like a nude cool tone lip to match with the eye. Didn't overdraw my lips, in case anyone thinks I do. I never overdraw my lips. I correct the corners, but I don't actually overdraw them. I straighten the corners more. So my upper lip is actually like, it kind of slopes down and makes it look sad all the time. So I actually straighten it out to meet the very corners. So that way I don't look like I'm about to cry all the time, because I do look like that normally. I'm uber glowy. I have loads of blush on. I'm so freckly because of being just generally in the sun. Yeah, and I love it. And I've got really light foundation on. So yeah, this is good. I look good right now. So this is it. This is the finished look. Let me quickly go through everything that I have on my face. On my eyes, the only things I really used on my eyes were... So I just did a nude liner on my waterline. This is the Inglot Kohl Pencil in 05. I just popped that on my waterline to keep the eyes looking nice and big and round and all that kind of jazz. And then I didn't do any liner on my upper lash line. All I did was tight line, just so that way the corners of my lash will actually look like they're blending in nicely. And this is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade 0, just a black. And then my mascara is my MDM Greater Than Flow mascara. No, MDM Flow Greater Than mascara. I said that wrong. So that's what I have on my eyes. And then my lashes are my House of Lashes Iconic Minis. Yeah, and they're beautiful and I love it. For my skin, for my bronzer, I used my Larizzi bronzer stick in the shade Aloha. This guy, he just looks like that and he's lovely, really nice. I did like kind of my nose and everything, kind of everywhere. For my cheeks, as my blush, I used my Clinique Cheek Plop, here we saying plop again. Cheek Pop Blush Pop Melon Pop. Melon Pop is the shade. It's a nice kind of corally shade. And I just popped a good bit of that on my cheeks and on my nose. And then to get that super glossy wet look on my skin, I use my Fenty Beauty Diamond Bomb Highlighter all over Diamond Veil in the shade How Many Carats. Just it's the white one. It's the first one that came out. It's super translucent, but when it hits the light, it's super reflective and wet. But it's a powder. Kind of. It's like a super shock shadow, that kind of feel. And then for my lips, I knew I wanted to do a nude. So for my nude, I did the Bobbi Brown lip pencil in the shade Bobby. It's just like a cool tone brown. That's kind of what the colour is generally on my lips. And then just to lighten it a little bit and give a bit of dimension on the lip, I used my MAC Cream Sheen lipstick in the shade Creme de Nude. Let me just wipe that because it's actually much paler than this. And this is a very well loved lipstick. We are almost at the bottom. We are at Nubbins right now. So it's that kind of colour, nice creamy nude. And then just to give me an extra bit of gloss and shine to match the skin, I went in with the Inglot Volumizing Lip Gloss in the shade Mai Tai. It's just like a nice, kind of like a rosy brown. And I love it. It's very pretty. So that is look number 1 and I love it. And like me in neutrals, what? I know it's a bit weird with the inner corner, but I'm kind of loving it because it still gives me that bit of a grungy sort of vibe, which I feel most comfortable in. And I'm all freckly and I love it. I'm loving my skin right now. My skin looks fabulous. So yeah, let's move on to look number 2. Alrighty guys, welcome to look number 2. Just to let you know, I've got some natural light on and my softbox lights on, so if it looks a bit different, I don't know how it's gonna look. I might close my curtains halfway through this, so we'll just see how it goes if the sun comes out. I don't know. But we're on to look number 2, and today we're gonna play with the pressed glitter in this palette here. So I'm thinking of just doing like a general smoky eye, maybe using like saffron, maybe amber and Eden, and maybe a little bit of the dark brown, but the focus is going to be the pressed glitter and a bit more of a blown out kind of smoky eye. I just realised that I had manual focus on because I was taking pictures yesterday and I forgot to put my autofocus on, so if that was out of focus, I am sorry. But we are going to start with our Inglot 6SS brush, and we're going to go into Eden, which is that soft kind of peachy colour. It's a matte finish and I'm just using this as my transition shade mostly. And this is just going to go into the crease. I just want this to be there just for the warmth and just to give us a nice fade into my own skin. That's such a pretty shade, I like it. So next we are going to go into a 217 from MAC, just a fluffy brush like this, and we're going to go into the shade Amber. Is it Amber I want to use? Yes, just a small little bit of amber, a little dab. It's just so I want something kind of in between. Sorry, you can't even see. Amber is this one here, it's like the burnt orange. And then I'm going to use saffron, so I want something kind of in between these two to kind of help it blend a little bit. We're going for like that classic smoky eye where it's dark all over the lid and blown out. So that's the kind of vibe you want to go for. And I'm just bringing that into the crease as well. Just to give us a bit more colour, a bit more depth. Then taking my 6SS, just with whatever's left on that brush, and just use that to soften out the edge. I don't really want like the burnt orange to be super intense. I just want it there to help the reddish colour. I want the kind of red to be the most prominent. Next we're going to go into saffron, which is the red here. It's a beautiful red that kind of isn't almost burgundy but not quite a burgundy. And I'm taking this on a MAC 239, which is a flat brush, and we're just going to pop this on the lid, like all over the lid, just pressing it on because it is matte and you just want it to be like as intense as you can get it. Don't worry about where it meets the crease, we can blend that out as we go. And then I'm taking that 217 again, just with whatever's left on it. I'm not picking up any more of that burnt orange, and we're just gonna, in very soft circular motions, just start blending that red into the orange. I don't want like the orange to be gone completely. I still want that warmth there, but the red is the focus, so just get a nice little balance between the two. And then once we have that all kind of blended, I'm just going to take my 6SS brush from Inglot again, not with any more product on it, it's just to really go in and blow out the very edge of that. Okay, so just add a little bit of dimension, just a little bit. I'm going to take the shade Ode or Oud, or however you pronounce that, and I'm taking that on my MAC 214, which is my small little smudgy reliable brush. And we're just going to press this into the lash line. You don't have to be like super precise with this part, it's just to give a little bit of depth. Again, we're going to put glitter all over the lid, or pretty much all over the lid, so you don't really have to be too fussy with it, but it's just to give that little bit extra depth. You can kind of see the difference, because you could just do this, smoke out your lower lash line, loads of liner, and off you go, and no glitter. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 sort of thing. Okay, so I've just wiped off my 214. We're going to work on the lower lash line now. I'm going to start with saffron, which is the red, and just take a little bit of that, because this, again, I want this to be the most prominent colour, and we can add the dark brown to deepen and then soften out with the brighter colours. So we're just going to take some of that, and this is going to just run into the roots of the lashes. As always, you can go as thick as you want or as thin as you want. You can go in as far as you want. It depends on you and your face and your eye and what you prefer. Okay, so once you have that on, making sure that you connect your outer corners, I'm going to take a small little bit of amber, just a dab, and this is a Real Techniques shading brush. Yes, shading brush. And I love this for kind of smoking out my lower lash line. And I already have my under eye concealer on, or pretty much most of my under eye concealer on, if I add a bit more to touch up and stuff like that. But I want this just on that edge of the saffron shade, and just use that to smoke out the edge. And then with that same brush, we're going to go into Eden, which is the light peachy shade, and we're just going to take some of that and then use that to blow out the edge as well, just so it all kind of mirrors the top. And I like my lower lash line very smoked out, so I like to layer it all up. Okay, so that's how we're looking so far. You could very easily just throw in a bit of liner if you want to do a wing liner, smoky liner, whatever kind of liner you wanted to do. You could do brown, black, purple, red if you had red, mascara, lashes if you want lashes, do skin, and off you go. But we're not done. So I didn't do any brown on my lower lash line because I'm going to do brown liner, and I don't know how much I want to smoke that in yet, so I'm going to leave that for a second. But for the glitter, the star of this look, we're going to use the Too Faced Glitter Insurance. I'm going to pop a little bit of that on the back of my hand. And just take that on my ring finger. Like a small little amount, just enough to coat your finger. And just press that as evenly as you can over the lid. And I'm just going to take my finger, because the same finger that I use for the glitter glue, I kind of just like wiped it off a little bit, but it's still a bit tacky, just because it's easier to pick up that way. And I've only ever used this once, I think, this pressed glitter. I mean, I don't mind pressed glitters, but it is really pretty. Just like spreading out what I have on my finger, and you can always go in and add more. Oh, that's so pretty. That's really nice. With the red underneath, it really brings the red glitters out in it. So then, like, I mean, glitter, it's, you can't really blend glitter that well. But I am just going to soften kind of the edge of the glitter a little bit just with my 217, just with whatever's on it. And just kind of diffuse that out a little bit. I mean, it's not really going to do much, but it'll just give that little bit more of a diffused look. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the palette as far as I can think. The only thing I'm probably going to do with it is use the lightest shade as a brow highlight, and that's it. But I'm going to go off, I'm going to do my liner, lashes, cheeks, lip of some sort, and I'll be back in a sec. Alrighty guys, so this is how the look turned out, and I actually really like it, and I love these lashes. So for the eyes, I'm just going to quickly go through everything. For the eyes, I used my very small little Urban Decay Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Demolition. It's just like a deep chocolatey brown. Pop that into my waterline. I didn't do any on my upper lash line, I just tightlined my upper lash line. Then I used my MDM Flow Greater Than mascara on my top and bottom lashes. As this is starting to dry slightly, I'm kind of liking it a little bit. I do a double coat, but like I do kind of like how my lashes look with it on. And then for my lashes, I use my House of Lashes Smoky Muse lashes. So they're really dense along the actual band. And then they've got these like real wispy bits. So it does really give that like smoky look to the lashes where it's dark right at the lashes and then it kind of flares out. Very nice. Then for my cheeks, I already showed you my bronzer, which was the Huda Tantour. And then I popped on my cheeks, you can probably see I'm super glossy. Oh, I popped on my Fairly Precious from MAC. This is an extra dimension highlighter, so it's super shiny. And I popped that on my cheeks and down my nose and a little bit on my forehead and about my chin. Everywhere. And then for my actual highlight, you could just do the blush and not do highlight, but I mean, come on now. This is the Karl Lagerfeld and Model Co. Pretty sure it's Model Co. Baked highlighter. I got it in a glossy box, so I love it. It's so pretty. It has the nicest bit of gold in it, but for a pale skin, it's very nice. And then on my lips, I went for a Huda Beauty lip contour liner in the shade Flirt, which is like a very soft brown. And I lined my lips, filled it all in. And then on top of that, I used my NYX Lip Lingerie in the shade Push Up, which is just a soft nude. And I just popped that on top. So it's like a matte finish. And it's very nice. I really like it. Okay, so this is our look number 2 using our Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, doing a bit more of a classic smoky eye using the pressed glitter, and it's lovely, and I really like how this turned out. And yeah, let's see what happens in look number 3. Alright guys, welcome to look number 3. We are going to do orange, quite orange and warm kind of tones with this palette. I definitely want to use Blazing down here. I think we might use a bit of amber, maybe a bit of oud, or however you want to pronounce that word. And I want to use Blood Moon, which is the kind of shimmery copper. I may use a bit of Turkish Light, which is a bit more of a red kind of shimmer, but I'm definitely going to use Blood Moon, and I definitely want to use Celestial, and I think Half Cut Crease. I think that's where I'm going with it. So yeah, that is what we're going to be doing today of some sort. Hopefully it works out. Okay, so I am going to start with Blazing, which is the very nice bright orange in the palette. I'm taking that on a MAC 217 brush. And we're just going to pack this on the outer corner and into the crease. Look at that though, it's so pretty. It's like one of the most perfect oranges that I have that's not like neon. So like the one in, say, the Juvia's Place Zulu palette is beautiful. It's probably the best orange that I have. That's a true orange. This one has a bit more depth to it, but it's not quite a burnt orange. Even when it's blended out, it doesn't go too brown. It's really nice though. And I just make sure to bring this all the way into my crease, all the way in here. So when we cut the crease, you have a bit of contrast in the crease as well. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly how I want to do my lower lash line yet, so I'm going to leave it for a few minutes. We might come back to it, because I don't know whether I want to use the Turkish Light, the more red shimmer, on my lower lash line. And if so, I might have to use a bit of saffron, but we'll see. So we have that in the crease, and I kind of gave it a little bit of a point on the edge. Now what I'm going to do is take my MAC 224, just a big fluffy brush, and we're going to take the shade Eden, which is the soft kind of peachy shade. And I'm just going to use that to soften out the edge. And you might think, why didn't you do that first so you have something to blend into? I wanted the orange to go on like really strong, because I want that to be like the focus. Okay, so I want to deepen it just a little bit. I'm going to use the shade Amber, which is more of a burnt orange. So that's the first orange that we used. And now I want to use Amber up here. And you will have seen all these in the swatches, so you kind of know what they all look like compared to each other actually on the skin. And I'm taking a MAC 221, which is a small little skinny blending brush. And he's just going in too deep in the areas you want a little bit deeper. So I want my outer corner to be a little bit deeper. Like, I don't want it to be dark or brown or anything like that. I still want it to be nice and orange, but I do still want some depth there. And just kind of bringing that all along. Again, we want to create the depth in here, so that way when we cut the crease, it contrasts enough and it makes the cut crease look stronger. Then I'm just going back with my 217, just with whatever's left of that blazing shade, and just kind of use that to soften the darker colour out and make sure it's still nice and bright and orange. Okay, so now for me, it's the most nerve-wracking part. It's the cut crease, because I always get really nervous when I do these. And I'm going to use my P. Louise base. This is in the shade Rumour 0.5, and it's not the lightest, it's not the white, it's the one up from that one. If I wanted one that's like more my skin tone, I'd go like up 1 or 2 shades again, just because it is very, very light. And I'm taking a BH Cosmetics Lavender Luxe number 9 brush, the flat little brush. I can't tell if it's 6 or 9, it's one of them. It's flat. And I've just loaded a good bit up onto this, and I'm just taking my little mirror here, and we're just going to go in and do a half cut crease, because I always struggle with full cut creases, so we're not going to do that. I struggle enough with these kind of cut creases, so let's not make my life any more difficult right now. So she gets something like that. I still left a little bit of that darker orange in the outer corner, because I'm going to use that also to blend into the shimmer, so you have something there to already blend. And let's do the other side. Okay, so now we've got our cut crease on. We're going to go back into our palette, and I'm going to take Blood Moon first, which is the shimmery kind of coppery shade. It's beautiful. The kind of normal metallic foil shimmers, like the normal metallic shimmers in these palettes, are gorgeous. So I'm going to take that just on a little flat brush. I don't know where I got this brush, but it's just flat. And we're going to pack that on to most of the lid. So all out here. But along the actual kind of cut crease here and a little on the inner corner, I'm going to leave blank. You'll see what I mean in a second. I'm almost doing it in a diagonal, if that makes sense. Well, it's actually going that way, but yeah, the fade is going this way, but I'm applying the colours this way. Makes no sense. I'll show you in a sec. As I get up to the crease out here, I'm packing it all the way up. Then I'm going down in a diagonal. Can you kind of see what I mean, where I left that little curve there open? Because we're going to use that in a second. Okay, so just cleaned off my little brush just so that's nice and clean, and we're going to go in to the shade Celestial, which is like a gold with a little bit of a kind of a pinky copper reflex. It's kind of that kind of colour. You will have seen it in the swatches, but it's really, really pretty. I don't know whether I want to use this wet or not, so I'm just going to try it dry first, and I'll go over it wet if I feel like I need to. But that's going in that little gap that we've just left. Oh no, I don't think I need to use that wet. I'll have to build it a little bit, but I don't think it has to go on wet. Just make sure you're going right up against your cut crease first. Get your nice edge. I say that, but whenever I do a cut crease on me, the edge always blurs. I think it's the way my lid is shaped. So for my lower lash line, I've already got primer on my lower lash line and everything. I'm going to go into Blazing, which is the matte orange again. That was out of focus, but you know where it is. And we're going to take that on a 214 from MAC, and this is just going to go on the outer half of the lower lash line. Make sure you connect out here as well. Then I'm actually taking my 217 again, the one that I use with the same orange shade on it. I'm not going to have the kind of coated side because I only coated one side, so this side is a bit more clean. I'm going to have the coated side pointing up and the not so coated side pointing down, just so I'm not applying all this down here. I'm applying it upwards, if that makes sense. But I just want to blend the edge of this out just a little bit. So I'm going back in with that same 214 brush and the shade Amber, which is our more burnt orange, and we're going to use that to deepen the lower lash line just up against the lashes. That's all we really want it for. Just give it the same amount of depth as we have on top. Okay, so I want to deepen this the tiniest little bit, but not even like fully deepen the look. I actually just want to deepen the edge of the cut crease. So I'm going to take that same 214 brush and I'm just dipping the very tip of it into Ode, which is the dark brown. And we're going to actually run it along the edge of my cut crease. Just a smidge. I don't even want you to like notice that there's brown there, if that makes sense. It's just to give that a little bit of depth. And I was going to do the Turkish Delight on the lower lash line, but I don't think I will right now. I don't know if it'll be too pink compared to everything else. So I think I'm going to take the Blood Moon again and pop that on kind of the most part of my lid or my lower lash line, and then I'll do the Celestial on the inner corner. I think that's kind of how I'm feeling this look right now. So taking Blood Moon on the same brush, we're using this brush a lot for this look, and we're just going to pop that on the inner third of the lower lash line, or the inner half. Okay, so I tied up a little bit more under my eyes, and now I'm going to just take a little brush like that, and we're going to take a little bit of the Celestial again, which is what we used on the kind of higher part of the cut crease. And this is just going to be my inner corner highlight. I may add more highlight to it, but this is going to be like the colour that I want there. Okay, so that is everything as far as I can think that I want to use for this. I'm going to go off, I'm going to do some liner, I'm going to do some mascara, lashes, cheeks and lips, and I'll be back to show you what I have on my face. Alrighty guys, so this is our finished look. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to go quickly through everything that I used on the rest of my face. So let's get into this. So on my eyes, in my waterline, I didn't know whether I wanted to do brown or gold. I decided to do gold, kind of like a rosy gold. This is the Essence Long Lasting Eye Pencil in the shade Rosy and Goldy. And I just popped that into my waterline just to give a little bit of something that ties in nice with that Celestial shade we have on the lid. My liner for the upper lashes is... So I have this little like deluxe sample kind of thing from Hourglass. It's their waterproof liquid liner in, I'm assuming, the shade Voyeur. I don't know. But it's just their little pen liner. It's really nice. I really like it. It's just a little sample that I have though. So I use that, and then I use my MDM Flow Greater Than mascara on my lashes just to do my top and bottom lashes. For my actual lashes, I have got my... Where are they from? LA Splash. These are the Dauntless lashes in the style Stunner. So they're a bit longer on the outer corner. They kind of flick up a tiny little bit, but they're super nice and soft and fluffy. I've got more dramatic ones like these ones here I was going to use. These are the Diva ones from LA Splash, but they're very dramatic, and I didn't want it to be too overbearing, so I wanted it to be a little bit softer. And then onto my cheeks, I used my Benefit Hoola Light bronzer, so that one here. I mix a tiny bit of the normal Hoola, just tiny little dab here and there, but it's mostly Hoola Light on my cheeks, just to give me a bit of warmth. I didn't use any setting powder because that Wet n Wild foundation is on the more matte side, and my skin is on the more dehydrated side right now, especially right now. For some reason it's going through a moment, so I didn't put any powder on, and it's actually quite nice and I quite like it. It's going to stay on anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then for my cheeks, I use my MAC Mineralized Blush in the shade Love Me Like Me, which is an orange, just to tie in with the orangey tones on my face. And then for my cheek highlighter, and I did pop a tiniest little dot of it on the inner corner just to brighten it a little bit more, even though I've got that kind of Celestial shade, the one with the duochrome in it, but just on top of it, I just wanted to brighten it just a smidge. This is the Inglot Sparkling Dust Face, Eyes and Body. This is in the number, it's kind of rubbed off, but I'm pretty sure it's 07. It's one of the lighter ones. It's like quite a champagne-y kind of colour, but it's quite bright on the skin, so it's great for me right now. So yeah, I have that on my cheeks. So for my lips, again, I wanted to use this Huda Beauty lip contour lip pencil in the shade Flirt because I thought it would just tie in nice, and I wanted to do a brown lip anyway, so it just worked out well. And then on my lipstick, I used the MAC lipstick in the shade Spirit, which is just a brown, your standard kind of mid-tone brown nude. It's lovely. It's a satin finish, so it's really nice, but I wanted to add a bit of gloss to that, so we went in with a MAC lip gloss in the shade Glass Heel. I'm pretty sure this is like a Christmas collection one, but I know that they do one that is like a gold. It's basically like a sparkly gold. So I know that they do one like that, but I don't know what it's called. It's very similar to that though, but yeah, just if you can't get that one, there is others like that. Okay, so that is everything. That is our 3 looks, 1 palette using our Huda Desert Dusk palette, and it's a beautiful palette, one of my favourite palettes in my collection, one of my most used palettes in my collection, which you'd be surprised about because it's warm and neutral and you wouldn't expect that from me. But I actually really love it, and I love the variety of looks we can get out of this. You'll have seen all the swatches, you will have seen my 3 looks where I used not even the most interesting shades, like just shades that I felt like went really well together to create a really nice cohesive look. And I will be doing a palette bingo, so you will see more of that. We will see how that turns out. That could be very interesting with this kind of colour scheme. All I'm hoping for my palette bingo is that I don't get amethyst, because I do not like that purple, which we've already established. But yeah, I hope I get something interesting for that, so stay tuned for that. So you can subscribe down below if you want to see my palette bingo that I'm going to do with that. I will also leave this in a playlist, and I have lots more 3 looks 1 palettes going on in my playlist right now. You can hit like down below if you did like it, and the more likes I get, the more likely I'm going to do these videos. Woo! And because I do have more palettes that I haven't done. I have the Mercury Retrograde palette from Huda. I have 2 Give Me Glow cosmetics. I bought them for myself. I didn't even buy them to do videos on, but I bought it for myself. But I will do videos on them. If you hit like down below, I will. And yeah, I have a few little bits that I have, so you know, there might be some interesting things coming out. Also, give me ideas for Halloween, because I don't know what to do for Halloween yet. I have a lot of time to do Halloween videos, and I don't know what way I want to do my Halloween videos yet, and I have some ideas, but I have to plan it out, and I want some people's input, so you can let me know and see. You never know, I might end up doing it, so just give me some ideas down below in the comment section. That's what I want you to tell me. Give me some Halloween ideas. I know it's August, I understand that, but you know, I have to start planning now. I have to start filming like tomorrow. It's actually right now, as I'm filming this right now, this video is going up in August. It is May right now, so I am already thinking about Halloween in May. But you know, let me know then. That's what I want to know. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.